Hey Megan, this is Rajat from e-GMAT. I looked at your ESR. Thank you for sending that over. It was a big help. So when I looked at it, I realized a few things. One, this ESR is from March 20th. Actually, let me just make this slightly thinner. Yeah. March 20th, 2019. So it's more than a year old, which kind of means that it may not be representative. But what I did was I said, let me just I'm going to create this video assuming that this is representative, and to really say if you were to look at this and really create an improvement plan based on this, how would you go about doing that? And then if this is not representative, we can fill in those holes and add some additional stuff over here. But clearly, what this shows is that you know quant is where you need the most help. On verbal, you're mostly doing okay. I mean, you're at 94th percentile, as you mentioned. Now, since you do want to apply to top business schools, one thing that I would truly recommend is that you improve this verb quant score to Q48, because top B schools, they kind of look at your quant scores. They really like to see at least a Q47, otherwise they worry about your ability to take on coursework. So quant truly is something that you kind of need to go. So for me, on the actual GMAT, if you were to really get a Q48, V41, this would lead to essentially a 730 for me. And so you probably just need to repeat your verbal performance, but we're not going to focus on there. We're going to also look at how can we improve this to, let's say, a 43 or a 44. But let's worry about how can you get those next 5 points on quant. So I looked at where is it that you need help, and this chart over here, this is, let me just zoom this in, um, tells a few things. First of all, the fact that you have, you're kind of equally weak or equally strong in PS and DS, or problem solving and data sufficiency, shows that the it's not the question type that's tricking you, it's the fundamentals. Now, as we go over here, let's kind of make this, rotate this a bit more. What this tells me is that arithmetic is where you're stronger, and algebra, geometry is where you need more help. And this is something that also shows up in fundamental skills. So arithmetic, by definition, is composed of three subsections. You have number properties here, you have word problems, and then you have PNC, probability, and sets. So, algebra, geometry is essentially just algebra and geometry. So you have those two subsections. And when we look at these numbers and you say you're stronger over here, and as we go into what we call as performance by fundamental skills, what this tells me is, you are pretty good over here. Now, considering that you weren't given super hard questions, but, whatever you were served in rates, ratio, and percent, you did well. Now, what is this equivalent to? Over here, this is equivalent to word problems. So this is your word problems over here. So because you did really well in this, that's why you are at that 52nd percentile in arithmetic. Now, but when you compare other stuff, uh, when you compare value order factors, this is your number properties. Counting set series, this is your PNC, probability. Geometry is geometry, and inequality equality equations, inequalities, algebra is again this part over here. So you can really see you're at 50%, 50%. Both of these, that's your accuracy, by the way. This doesn't include the difficulty level, but because that ability is 40th percentile, this means that that even though you were served questions of medium difficulty, you still weren't able to solve many of them, which is why you got 50% accuracy, but your 40th percentile ability. Now, what does this mean with regards to our improvement plan? What it means with regards to our improvement plan is that we're going to focus on three subsections. One is number properties. The second, and these are the three subsections that you're going to focus on for improvement: algebra, and algebra includes equations, inequalities, and in general, absolute value. So this is equations, inequalities, and absolute value. And the third subsection that we're going to focus on is geometry. Notice I'm not focusing as much on PNC probability. Why? Because this usually is something that's not doesn't hold as much weight. Essentially, if you improve your number properties, your score over here, and I'm going to rub this off because you'll have this in the recording. This 52nd percentile could fairly easily go to a close to a 75th to an 80th percentile, and if you improve on this, you can very easily again go to a 65th percentile over here. So that's where we are going to spend a bunch of our time improving. Now you still have to revise questions in word problems, so you'll have to solve some questions over here, but these are the three areas primarily that you want to improve upon. So let's now see how you're going to improve upon these three areas. So far, hopefully, whatever I'm saying makes sense. So you're going to go into the number properties course. For number properties, I'm going to send you first of all a recording, which is a session that we recently conducted. It has something called process skills. These are skills which are not related to any concept, but are related to certain good habits that you should have while solving questions. So I'm going to send you this recording. This is sort of 4 videos, about 3 hours. Go through this. This will tell you a lot about how you make mistakes, why you make mistakes, where you make mistakes. And even though this recording is just has questions pertaining just to number properties, these habits cut across quant. In fact, in some cases, they even spill over to critical reasoning and reading comprehension. But again, there you're doing reasonably well. But across quant, they're very persistent. So you're going to see 6 process skills that you should worry about. Then I want you to go through the number properties course. And again, in the end, it has some hard questions. You don't need to worry about hard questions. Remember, you're not aiming for a Q50, 51. You're aiming for a Q48. But I need you to be able to do medium questions properly. So to do that, the sequence that you're going to follow is go through the course, go through the cementing quizzes. Make sure in medium you get 70% accuracy. And I want you to be able to do all 4 to 5 medium quizzes. After this, I want you to go through either geometry or algebra. So if you go through algebra, do the same thing, go through the course, then go through cementing. Again, don't care about you going through the most challenging questions. In Scholarinium, go through the medium cementing quizzes. This is after going through the course, by the way. I just want to make sure. And again, hit the same metrics and then repeat the same process in geometry. So for you, given that you can put in about 3 hours a day, you'd need about 8 to 9 hours in the 8 to 9 days, sorry, over here in this. And the same thing over here. And geometry should be slightly less. Now, this could go through a lot faster if you've already studied from another resource and you find that you're able to go through the files a lot faster. That's something that could do as well. So, but essentially, these are the 3 areas that you need to target. Now, let's get to verbal over here. Now, the approach essentially is similar. This is your verbal score, 94th percentile, really good score. Sentence correction, you did really well over here. Now, one thing that I'm cautious about is whether you are still at this point where this performance is from a year back. People usually forget things. So if you can take an official mock test or take one of our Sigma X mocks, one of them, and see your performance, I'd like to really just make sure that this is where we are. But assuming this is where you are, you need help and you can improve. You have the potential to improve in both critical reasoning and reading comprehension. I mean, I can clearly see you go to that 90th percentile over here in both of them. Now, even though you're really good in sentence correction, because you are at the highest score, I would suspect that if you were to take the test again, you'd probably go down slightly. I mean, it's very difficult to consistently hit 99 percentile. You'd probably go down to 90th, but that's okay as long as we are compensating with this. If you hit 90 in SC, 90 in CR, and 90 in RC, you should still be able to get a V44. So that shouldn't be a problem, which is 98 overall. Now, what does this mean? I mean, SC again, you're perfect as you can see over here. So in critical reasoning, when I see something like this, what I really see is, hey, you need to really focus on pre-thinking. I mean, you know pretty much everything. You don't need to go through any of the concept files. All you need to focus on are application files and practice files. That is if you feel that you want to get to that V44 over here. And as you go through, solve questions. And again, when you're doing this, you're not focusing on doing a whole lot of learning, but you're only doing refinement. And when you're doing refinement, what you're really looking at is where you're making mistakes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send you another YouTube video on what we call as CR error log. In this video, what you'd really see is as you solve a question and you make a mistake, how do you figure out why did you make a mistake? Once you know why you made a mistake, it's fairly simple to not make that mistake again, and that's kind of all you're looking for, because you're already at that 80th percentile, and you're just looking to solve the next 2 or 3 questions on the test. That's about it. And then if you continue to solve probably 40 to 50 questions in CR and about 15 passages in RC, again medium and hard passages. In CR and RC are going mostly hard passages or hard questions, you're going to find that you start to hit that 90th percentile. Again, your focus is not on speed, your focus is on precision here, because you already possess the speed. You've got to figure out why you're making these mistakes, and as you figure out why you make these mistakes, as you correct them, you're going to make fewer and fewer mistakes, and as you make fewer and fewer mistakes, you hit that 90th percentile. So that's kind of all there is. I mean, quant side, Q48, definitely go for it. You need that. And on the verbal side, maintain your performance, improve it slightly. I think that's kind of what it is over there. And once you do that, that 730 score is yours for the taking. So hopefully that helps. Do let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to address those.